I am Cao Cao. In your Western chronicles, you speak of Caesar, you speak of Napoleon. But in my eyes, history is nothing more than a chaotic, unoptimized set of data. In 196 AD, the Central Plains underwent a total system disk failure. The Han Empire's bureaucratic OS could no longer perform effective I/O operations. Land, population, and tax revenue, this core data was fragmented across the private servers of various warlords, incompatible and in a state of constant internal friction. Every warlord was trying to rebuild their own hardware. But I saw the true nature of the game. Whoever controls the kernel protocol controls the future. The Emperor Xian of Han was seen by others as a liability. To me, he was the only route access to Eastern civilization. This is the first lesson I teach you. When the market falls into chaos, do not fight for product share, fight for the right to set the standards. Most warlords were stuck in application layer development, raising armies to persuade the market. That was too slow. I executed a hostile takeover of the Legitimacy protocol. Once I acquired the root certificate and linked him to my core server in Xuchang, I could issue compliance patches, what you call commanding the warlords in the name of the emperor. From that moment on, I monopolized the interpretation of legitimacy. I became the sole system administrator, while my rivals became nothing more than illegal hacker processes. My commands were no longer requests. They were mandatory system API calls. To reject me was to trigger the system's firewall. To accept me was to submit to my monitoring. This is the dimensional strike of power. Let us discuss my recruitment algorithm. My rival Yuan Shao hired 5-star rated moral paragons, a total waste of computing power. Morality is a high-maintenance overhead. It creates massive latency in decision-making. If every decision must pass a 2,000-year-old ethics check, your system crashes before it even runs. My recruitment filter was simple. Step 1. Scan all market talent data and prioritize units with technical competency. If they lack performance, discard them regardless of their reputation. Step 2. Evaluate moral credit. If they have both skill and virtue, integrate them for standard incentives. But listen closely. The true profit margin lies in distressed assets, those with high competency but zero moral credit. I issued the 3 orders for talent, which was essentially a vampire attack on the talent market. I decoupled moral performance from technical output. I acquired the toxic geniuses, the greedy, the outcasts, as long as they could win wars or govern cities. Why? Because these units could not survive in the external moral OS. I placed these geniuses in an isolation layer, sandbox, and drained their R&D capabilities. I set a survival dependency incentive. In my system, they were lords. Outside my server, they were social waste. I was not their leader. I was their underlying compiler. I didn't need their loyalty. I needed their fear of deletion. I built a closed ecosystem of meritocracy where you must depend on my architecture to run your code. War is a battle of liquidity. Let me show you the data. The logistics thermodynamics my rivals could never compute. On the front lines of Guandu, a single soldier consumes approximately 3,000 calories a day. Yuan Shao had an army of 100,000, meaning a system load of 300 million calories per day. Yuan Shao's logistics used a monolithic architecture. His grain had to cross the Yellow River from the north. In ancient logistics, the oxen transporting the grain consume grain themselves. When the distance exceeds 200 kilometers, the transmission loss exceeds 60%. For every 10 units of grain sent, only 4 reach the front. My Tuntian system was a geographic data compression of soldiers and fields. I took war refugees, junk data to others, and turned them into outsourced computing units. I provided the hardware, land, oxen, seeds, and the firewall, military protection. My distribution mechanism was cold, a 60% platform fee, system maintenance, and a 40% unit maintenance, keeping them alive. This reduced the transmission path to near zero, achieving a transmission efficiency of 95%. While Liu Bei was begging for resources like a peasant, my system had already achieved asset securitization, turning grain into a self-sustaining flow of military rewards. As long as my land was computing, my army never lost power. Why did the burning of one depot at Wuchao cause 100,000 men to collapse? Because it wasn't a battle, it was a precise margin call. Yuan Shao's army was a pile of high-leverage, low-quality subprime assets. He used massive scale to hide the inefficient logic conflicts within his system. Wu Chao was not just a granary, it was Yuan Shao's central bank, his only entry point for liquidity. My strategy was surgical. Identify the single point of failure, SPF, and execute a man-in-the-middle MITM attack. When I led 5,000 elites disguised as Yuan's troops to ignite Wu Chao, I wasn't just burning grain, I was burning the only liquid asset in his system. The moment Wu Chao caught fire, a credit default cascade was triggered. When the news hit the front, the soldier's logic was simple. No grain equals future value is 0 equals negative survival probability. When future value drops to 0, all API calls, tactical commands, fail. This triggered panic selling, a mass exodus. 100,000 men trampled each other to exit the system. Yuan Shao realized too late that scale is a lever in prosperity, but a tombstone in adversity. I didn't need to kill his soldiers. I only needed to downgrade his credit rating to junk status. I trust no one. People are the greatest random variable in any system. To mitigate this, I developed defensive programming. I deployed the killing in sleep myth as a honeypot. It wasn't a personality flaw. It was a successful deterrence management protocol. I needed everyone to realize that even when my main process was in sleep mode, my defense subroutines were still running. Any unauthorized attempt to access my kernel would trigger an automatic counterattack. This established a virtual firewall in the minds of potential assassins. My 72 false tombs were a physical form of data masking. The moment my main process terminated, my death, the system initiated an obfuscation module. I created 72 false redirect paths to hide the actual core storage address. I wanted all future auditors and tomb raiders to be lost in an infinite loop. I monopolized power in life and truth in death. I knew that once data is read, the system is no longer secure. I made my existence an encrypted puzzle that can never be decompiled. Finally, Sima Yi, people say he betrayed me. No. He was the system administrator I handpicked. He was the only one who fully understood my efficiency-first algorithm. I built a perfect meritocracy machine. The advantage of this machine is high throughput. The disadvantage is that it has zero moral stickiness. When I grew old and my bloodline could no longer provide enough computing power, the machine naturally sought a more capable executive officer. Sima Yi was the hostile acquirer. He learned all my moves: latency management, asynchronous processing, and finally a perfect management buyout MBO. Do I regret it? No, this is the logic of my code. Efficiency is everything. The replacement of the Cao family proves my algorithm is healthy. It automatically prunes underperforming units to ensure the continuous operation of civilization. Now this code is in your hands. If you don't want to be bottom tier data in someone else's system, if you want to master the algorithm of monopoly, take action now. Like this video as a validation of the algorithm, subscribe to join my core instruction set, share this code to filter for your true strategic allies. I am Cao Cao. I do not care for your praise. I only care if you can use my logic to harvest your own battlefield, synchronize the monopoly, execute the subscription. I will see you on the other side of the data.